Hey everyone, geophysicist Stefan Burns here. Today we're going to talk about the sun and this energy tsunami that is sweeping over the planet. This is something that occurs about every 12 years. And maybe the term energy tsunami is a little bit dramatic, but the events of today have been dramatic, and that really is what it's like. You have this roughly 12-year rhythm of activity with the sun. 99.86% of the mass of the solar system, the big energy generator. Think of like the engine in your car. You don't drive anywhere without the engine in your car. You're not taking any steps or breathing. You're not alive if the heart in your chest is not beating. Is energy that puts out energy for everything on the planet. And so you're in what's known as solar maximum. It's about a 3-year period where there's just overall more energy output from the sun across a bunch of different wavelengths. So the total solar radiance goes up about 1,361 or 1,362 watts per square meter, the amount of wattage in a square meter at the surface of the planet. The 1,362 goes up to about 1,364 to 1,365. So on the absolute scale, across all the spectrum of light, from radio waves up to gamma rays, it doesn't shift that much because most of the energy in the sun is contained within infrared, optical light, and ultraviolet light. But it does increase though. From solar minimum to solar maximum, that TSI, that total solar radiance, does go up. And specifically, you have really big increases in radio microwave flux, so that radio frequency part of the light spectrum, which is below thermal and infrared, right? That's like the microwave energy that we use for our cell phones and our Wi-Fi routers and radio signals like AM, FN, even going lower than that. The sun emits those frequencies. Those go up during solar maximum quite appreciably. Also extreme ultraviolet light, so even a shorter wavelength than ultraviolet light, and X-ray light goes up also many orders of magnitude. X-ray light goes up 3 to 4 orders of magnitude from solar minimum to solar maximum, which is quite significant. So with all that laid out, we are in solar maximum, and this energy tsunami takes some time to come in. It comes in usually about every 12 years unless we have a grand solar minimum where there's no sunspots and no changes in activity for perhaps decades. And it triggers a lot of changes within us individually, also like at the community level, the nation level, and also across the entire globe, societally. So we are in that right now because solar maximum really kicked off in 2024. Now we're more than halfway through 2025. And the other year or so in that 3-year period is going to be 2026. So we're right in the peak of effectively solar maximum. Sunspot numbers have been higher in the past as compared to what's happening right now, like today. For example, August of 2024, last year, sunspot numbers for the month were about 215. So we're lower than that right now. Solar radio flux is lower than that right now. There are, also variations within solar maximum, but in general, all of these factors are up and elevated, and it does take time for this energy to work its way through into the Earth, into us, into the other planets, the entire heliosphere surrounding the solar system, going out 100+ astronomical units, is more energized now than it is during solar minimum. Earth is at 1 astronomical unit. Neptune, the furthest out planet, is at 30. Pluto, the dwarf planet that we all love, it goes out to 50 AU. The heliosphere goes to 100+ astronomical units. That entire magnetic current carried by the solar wind is strengthened, and the electric current, the electric field itself of our interstellar space, our little bubble that the sun creates, is heightened. So it increases metabolism. Just your overall bodily processes kind of speed up and energize. It's like everyone's drinking caffeine, effectively. That's what happens. People get more agitated. more ramped up, and it's going to express itself in a multitude of ways. One of the primary ways, and we're going to talk about this coronal hole because we have this big coronal hole on the sun that is set to hit us with a very unique solar wind structure known as a high-speed stream around September 13th and the 14th, which is when we have a very significant planetary alignment with Mercury. Mercury is performing its superior conjunction on the other side of the sun right as this impacts us. So we're going to have a pretty notable electromagnetic system click into place around September 13th to the 14th because of this high-speed stream, the magnetic field it carries connecting to the Earth, and then Mercury pretty close to the sun on the other side. But before we get into that, let me show you just some quick data here. The relationship between solar activity and spontaneous social processes, which is a fancy way of saying revolutions, when people spontaneously organize to do things. And a perfect example of that is what happened today, September 10th, which is the protest that occurred in France, which was block everything. So it's not just, protests outside of like the Capitol building or something like this or some judicial building, whatever. It's no, we're not going to pump gas. We're not going to go get a coffee at the cafe. Like, we're doing nothing. We want the entire country to shut down. This is organized very rapidly, and that happened today in France. Now, I don't know how widespread and successful it was, but it did sweep across France. And France has a long history with these spontaneous social processes. Let's talk about the French Revolution, right? Where you have people being guillotined in the thousands, Robespierre, and then he starts it and then he gets guillotined himself. I mean, it was an absolute period of chaos and just madness that swept over France back there during the French Revolution. Look at our solar activity at that moment in time. Here we have our Wolf number, which is a measure of solar activity. This is like a yearly count for sunspot numbers effectively. And here we see solar maximums when that number is higher. We see solar minimums when that number is low. We see a weak solar cycle combination there, the Dalton minimum, early 1800s. We see a little bit of a dip right there, end of the 1800s, early 1900s, and then we have where we are right now. So we see that during these peaks is when we get these revolutions or these spontaneous social processes. People just suddenly coming together, self-organizing to some degree for some aim and ambition. They're fired up. There is a polarization because you have to kind of be in a dualistic state to really push forward on that. If you're in that non-dual, good and evil are one and the same, you're kind of content and you're fine with everything that's unfolding. So there has to be this polarization. That's what happens during solar maximum. Now, if we go back one, American Revolution, we see that was a very strong solar cycle. Solar cycle 3, the third that we really tracked, that was one of the strongest solar cycles on record. Also, solar cycle 19 was very strong. Okay, and so that lines up pretty perfectly. And then we see all these other events that have unfolded across time. Russian Revolution, Spanish Civil War, Arab Spring, just recently collapse of the USSR, all the big events that happen at a societal scale, even like a civilization scale, seem to occur during solar maximum periods like we are in right now. And well, solar cycle 24 was fairly weak, kind of in this zone. Solar cycle 25 has been stronger, very similar to solar cycle 23, which is the early 2000s. And so we are in this period right now. That gestation period is kind of done. Now that we're at the second half, really, even like the last third of solar maximum, it's time for these energies to express, and they are expressing themselves. So the other bigger wave that we should be aware of as well is that solar activity has been increasing for like 300 years now. So we see our Maunder minimum here going back from about 1650 to 1700. Okay, I think it's like 1645, 1700, somewhere. It's about 50 years of really low solar activity, no sunspots, basically things are just cruising along on autopilot. Look at how all of a sudden our solar cycles came back. We did again have that Dalton minimum, but since then, things have been very elevated as compared to kind of before, and these are forward expectations right there that may or may not come true, but we are in general in this 300-year wave of increasing solar energy. So that means that everything that's occurred since the Maunder minimum is building up to a larger expression of these revolutionary energies. And that is the time that we're in right now. So let us look at our solar cycle progression more specifically so we can see that. And here we have that data provided by NOAA. This is solar cycle 25 right here. Here's 24, 23. If we zoom in, we will see that we have been increasing in our sunspot number since 2020. There's a very powerful planetary resonance that hit in 2020. That is the Saturn-Pluto cycle, and it's a very malefic cycle associated with a lot of violence and authoritarian control and passionate opinions, and I'm 100% right, you're 100% wrong, and this dualistic battle and retribution and more. That kicked off a new cycle in 2020 during solar minimum. And so there's a bit of resonance between this solar cycle and its expression and that Saturn-Pluto cycle, which we had kick off last time with 9/11, which was also during a solar maximum period. Let's just zoom back a little bit. Here we have solar cycle 23. We can go to September. We have the anniversary tomorrow for 9/11. So here we can see September 2001 right there. And look, our sunspot count was 240 for the month. Very high, the second highest count for solar cycle 23. There was also a geomagnetic storm that hit exactly during the 9/11 attacks. Whatever you think they are, we know that we had a geomagnetic storm right when whatever happened unfolded. We actually just had a surprise G2 geomagnetic storm. We had a big drop in sunspot numbers there in May, but now you can see that we're climbing back up, and here is that broader peak of solar activity, solar cycle 25. Now, if I go over to our sunspot numbers for right now, we see that we just got through a big wave like this. So this is August right here. And then here we have this big wave at the end of August. Now we've come down, but we are stabilizing around 95 or so, which is quite a bit higher than here. So overall, we're setting higher lows for sunspot numbers over the past few months, and the highs are getting up to higher and higher values as well. Here is only 170 or so. This hit 200. So we're on this uptrend for this double peak in solar activity for solar cycle 25, driving more energy into this social frenzy tsunami. And we also can look at our total solar irradiance for solar cycle 25 right here. And here you see solar minimum. Again, this is all the energy from the sun. Here we have solar minimum. Look at how it's going up like this, and we are now in that heightened peak. So we are just starting to come down off of the peak. That was really August of last year, precisely. That was really when things were quite strong. Though you see that there was also a lot of volatility at that time frame. Things have kind of closed up a little bit, tightened up a little bit, but in general, solar energy output is really high. Another record we can look at is our X-ray flux. We're going right down the line, so you can get the gist of these energetic changes. And we see here the minimum solar cycle 24, 25, that in-between point. So this is the end of solar cycle 24, X-ray flux. This is a logarithmic scale. These are order of magnitude jumps each time, okay? And now you can see that our X-ray flux has gone up, and we're now starting to very slowly go back down, but we're still in that peak. And if we look down below, you can see the solar cycle overall pretty clearly. So look at how these waves across the different solar cycles. This is solar cycle 22, 23, 24, and then now you see we're in 25. So X-ray flux is up, and this is the very vibrational light that hits Earth's ionosphere, charges it up, and interacts with the global electric circuit in a very profound way and can alter overall movement of energy through the Earth. So some of the events that have unfolded today, which are very interesting, quite powerful, I would say, well, let me just go through everything. Okay, I'm just going to go right down the list. We have the nationwide protests in France, the Block Everything protest, which is a seemingly new level of intolerance for the government there, because it's not, we're just going to protest one area and try to be, kind about it. It's like, no, just, we don't like you at all. We're blocking everything. Okay. We'll see how many more of those that they do, or whether that takes over other places. It'd be great for every country, honestly, to do that, in my opinion. But so long as no one really gets hurt, that's the hope and goal. We also had a drone assault / incursion into Poland yesterday. So Russia launched a bunch of drones to Western Ukraine. These Shahed drones from Iraq. I've seen them before. I've seen at least the wreckage of them on Independence Day in Kyiv. This is Ukrainian Independence Day. This is 2023 that I was there. Is that 23? Yeah, 23. And these are big drones, and they, whether by accident or not, they flew into eastern Poland. There were some buildings that were damaged. I'm not sure any lives were lost, but it was a clear incursion to the territory, into NATO, and NATO has a hardline policy, so they say. So that's a pretty big step in the Ukrainian or the Russian Ukrainian war, and we'll see how that goes. But Poland has already invoked Article 4, which means, hey, we all have to get together and talk about this. Last time they did that was the start of the war. So that occurred yesterday. We also had a nationalist political activist named Charlie Kirk in the United States get shot in the neck today from a rifle 200 yards away or so. He was giving this like public lecture and debate discussion in Utah at one of the university campuses there, and someone just decided to shoot him, and he said a whole bunch of things across time. A lot of people on the political right really like him, a lot of people on the political left don't. There's this extreme polarization. I don't really have any thoughts. I actually didn't know about the guy until today, and my thoughts don't really matter. But a nationalist political activist, violence unfolding, and he died from that. Now, the interesting thing about this, one of the other expressions of these energies from solar maximum are synchronicities, these meaningful coincidences. And so they can unfold in your life, they can unfold at collective scales as well. And it tells you that there's a deeper meaning to the universe. That's effectively what a synchronicity is. So this Charlie Kirk shooting, murder, I guess you could say, is, it's just, we hope no one, but we don't want violence. That's what I say. We don't want social violence like this. Shootings, we don't want that sort of energy. But that was in Utah, right? Well, today, Utah had this magnitude 4.1 earthquake, same day. And that's pretty bizarre. I mean, it's not like it never gets magnitude 4 earthquakes, right? Yellowstone is here above it, so it's kind of close by. There's Yellowstone right there. But this 4.1 in Utah being the biggest earthquake in all the United States today. And if we go to our 30 days, let's check that out. We will see some other earthquakes, but let's put here largest magnitude, and let's punch in on the US. That 5.8 off the coast of Oregon is the biggest. Then we have a 5.1 there, also off the coast of Oregon, a whole bunch of 4s as well. But if we really punch in, we see this Utah earthquake is one of the biggest in the past month. So a synchronicity, basically, showing the connection between the Earth releasing these energies and then also there being this release of energy at the societal level, because he had a whole bunch of people really riled up on both sides, for him, against him, whatever. Again, I don't really know the story too much, but it is a perfect example of what I'm talking about as it relates to increased societal unrest and chaos and violence. And that occurs more often during solar maximum. That is just one of the ways these energies express themselves, because the general idea is that those who really resonate with this, and they also haven't consciously worked on their own energies and consciousness and their soul evolution journey, right? Traumas, whatever, they may act out these archetypes publicly, kind of unconsciously. And people that also aren't doing their inner work and really examining their inner shadow and how that may be guiding their actions, right? The shadow of the id guiding the ego superego, and then that actually attacking that shadow self, though it's guiding those expressions of energy, is very, very caustic. People will also resonate with that because it's a way for those energies to publicly express. Though it's at the unconscious level in the individual, it's at the conscious level in the collective. So that synchronicity is quite interesting. We also, on like another note, there can be extremely like big advancements and breakthroughs, and also as it relates to the body, because all metabolism is ramped up, that can really express itself as athletic prowess and events. So we just, like in the past couple of days, had Thor Bjornsson pull a deadlift world record of 510 kilograms, which is insane. Eddie Hall set the record at 500 kilos, and everyone thought that was mind-blowing and like was a record that was never going to be broken. Then Thor pulled 505 maybe like a month ago or so. He just pulled 510 in the past couple days, as far as I'm aware. I watched the video, it came up like butter. So intense athletic performance and strength, endurance, these are also expressions of solar maximum energies. It can affect your health and wellness. This can be less sleep. This can be fatigue, pain, headaches, tiredness, inflammation, like viral infections, all these unfortunate kind of maladies. If you're not working to channel and express this energy in a way that is harmonious and cooperative and coherent with the body, if you do that, then you can have these amazing expressions of creativity and kind of genius moments and paradigm shifts in your life, whether this is emotionally or like a big life upgrade, so on and so forth. One of the other stories that just came out, which is also very much resonant with this solar maximum's energy tsunami, is that NASA has come out and said that they have the best yet potential biosignature of life discovered on Mars. They discovered it last year, but they came out today with the announcement, and it's based off of these leopard spots on this rock. And the spots indicate, I guess, billions of years ago that there are chemical reactions occurring that could have supported microbial life. So maybe some sort of deep sea vent thing. Hard to say, but this is the most that NASA's ever come out saying, hey, we potentially have found biosignatures of life in a conclusive way on, like, outside our planet on Mars. So that's another thing, like these triumphs of humanity or new realizations or understandings, and that creative expression can be expressed to a greater degree during solar maximum. And that is the best way to channel these energies. If you focus on all these public events, it can get quite tiring. There was also, in addition to those political activists, there was a young Ukrainian woman who got like hit in the neck. Just sudden violence is also something that we see increase during solar minimum. And she died from that, I guess. So some really tragic events have befallen. Of course, there's always tragic events in the news cycle. If you want to have any sense of sanity, you can't dwell on them too much. But these are the sort of things that occur more often during solar maximum. Greater polarization, more conflict, aggression, but also greater chance for those of us working consciously to work together cooperatively, because in general, it's just a time of greater manifestation potential. That is what happens during solar maximum. And so it's up to us, the collective in the know and conscious of this, to manifest what we want. Now, here we see an event that's coming up on September 13th that's going to correspond with that coronal hole high-speed stream impact, and this is Mercury performing a superior conjunction. This is a Mercury cazimi. So Mercury is our messenger, our communication ability, also connected to health and wellness and athleticism, right? So it's very much connected to all these things. It's performing a reset, and now it's going to appear in the evening sky after the superior conjunction. This is typically seen as a benefic thing because it's moving forward, moving ahead. So that'll be on September 13th. Mercury here is on the other side of the sun. Again, we're going to have that increased electromagnetic dynamic circuit. There's just going to be more energy flow through that because of the perfect alignment of the coronal hole with this superior conjunction of Mercury on the other side. So be on the lookout for enhanced solar activity, enhanced geomagnetic activity, also enhanced earthquake activity, perhaps volcanic activity during that alignment, couple days on each side, I would say, and also just more of these like volcanic eruptions from the societal web that we all live within, right? That layer of energy that we all connect to, just these sudden eruptions from that are more likely. And that's just kind of what it is. So that is what is happening right now. As a result of these energies, I would like to go ahead and perform a sound healing, a collective sound healing to help equalize some of these energies, bring them into greater coherence. Because with consciousness, we can change the trajectory of events. And one person meditating is great. We have 4,700 people right now, so let's say 4,500 people doing this together is incredible. This is the power of the internet now. So please take a moment to find a comfortable position. I'm just going to rearrange a couple things here to get set up, but we'll do a fairly brief sound healing, but we want to get all the good points. And this is something that we do on the channel as well as these scientific reports. We also have things like 3i Atlas flying in right now, which is an interstellar object bringing about this potential for pretty dramatic change. And there's some very interesting archetypal resonances with that. So I'll talk about that more in future videos as well as I have been, but also more from that energetic perspective, that consciousness perspective. I'll talk about that more. So please subscribe if you'd like to stay up to date on that. So thank you all for being here, everybody. I wasn't planning on doing this live stream today, but it kind of came together just because we had so many events that precipitated today that really, really clearly highlighted this increased solar activity and the effects of it on the societal scale. I have talked about this before, as some of the longer term members I'm sure have seen, but it's always good to bring this information into awareness for new subscribers. And if you are new here, welcome. Thank you for joining. We're now 430,000 strong, which is incredible. I never thought we would get past, well, I never thought we'd get past 100K, but I thought it was going to take a little bit longer, but there's clearly a very powerful resonance that exists with this community. Happy to be the person here on camera, but it's really because of all of you that we have what we have here, which is, I think, something very, very special. So, yes. This is the first singing bowl here. It's the crown chakra bowl. We also have the solar plexus bowl. I'll show them to you in just a second. I'm almost ready. I'll show you all the stuff, all the goodies. Yep. And here we are. So we have a small Tibetan bowl. I do not know the frequency of this. I just actually used this at the beach. So there's some sand inside of it, but that was nice. Recommend you do your earthing and grounding during these sort of times. One of the other things that's really good for you to do is to ground out some of that solar energy, because the sun inherently is destructive. It's life-giving but destructive, right? If you're flying to the sun, it's not like all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, it's like swimming in this paradise pool in some tropical country or something. It's not like that. It's going to be like, oh my God, my flesh is being burned away from my body, right? It's inherently destructive, but at a safe distance, in a certain way, contained, and exposure being done mindfully to it, it is very life-giving. It's good to get sun on the skin, produce vitamin D, but you also don't want to be getting a sunburn. So these sort of tools allow us to channel these energies in a very efficient way. Here's the other Tibetan bowl. That's a C note for the root chakra. This is the solar plexus bowl here. And then we also have the crown chakra bowl, which we'll play at the end to send any energies up. But earthing and grounding, connecting to the earth itself, helps to balance all these energies, brings coherence to your biofield, and then being in that coherent state of mind, having optimal brainwave function, regular clean heartbeats, right? Good heart rate variability improves all these things, reduces inflammation, pain, and more. Then you can really embark upon that creative expression journey. We also have tuning forks across quite a wide frequency range, 144 to 528 hertz. So we'll play these as well. So, okay, let us take a collective deep breath. And just feel this energy coursing through our bodies. Maybe you're having trouble sleeping. Maybe that's why you're watching the live stream right now. Maybe just feel like you're always go, 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 anxious, in a place of fear, uncertainty, doubt, just tired. There's this overwhelming things happening. So many balls you're juggling that you can't keep up. So we are going to just relax and let go and begin to breathe deeply. Breathe in and then breathe out. All the way out. That might be the first breath of air where you completely discharge your lungs, right? Think of all that stale air if you're breathing only halfway each time. Breathe in. Then breathe out all the way. We draw energy up, starting with our root chakra. Purify all the energies that do not belong. Let them go. Expand them to simply out of our biofield to the earth, to the cosmos. There are plenty of other conscious beings or entities that will take those energies, harmonize them, transmute them, what have you. So we can release them easily with that knowledge. Breathe. We're in the sacrum now, above the root chakra, in that belly, that place where our emotions are stored, hurts, traumas, but also one of our primary energy centers, the gut and digestion, from whence we get most of our energy. We release all that does not serve, all the anger and hate that is coursing through our society. It is time to let it go. It is time to move beyond. It is time to ascend to higher consciousness. Now we have the energy in the solar plexus. And we use the sun's destructive potential to burn away all that does not serve. To purify. We have a collective wound of anger, hate, and violence. It is time to cauterize it. Just to stop the bleeding. We have had enough of this. Move the energy up. Now it's been transformed. It's ready for reconnection to the cosmos. From whence it came, it shall be returned. For planet Earth is a place of light. Walking outside today, and it's like it's so bright. It's brighter now than when I was a kid. There's just more light on this planet. In our day-to-day, things are brighter and better overall. Plants are growing. This world can be even more amazing. We are the caretakers, the shepherds of this planet. It is up to us to see what we want to see, to manifest it. To do that, we need to be conscious, aware of our actions, decisions. We are in eclipse season right now. These higher frequencies wash over us. Having given ourselves a complete cellular and energetic reboot. The anger, hate, violence, shadow aspects of ourselves, we recognize these for what they are and discharge them from our field. For there is only really one path forward if we want to survive, and that is love. I am love, we are love. We have to be willing to forgive, to move on, to accept. And to realize that the future is not set in stone. We can make it what we want. Past does not indicate what will continue to occur. Only if we let ourselves be programmed into that mindset. We reject all false programming, all parasitic energies that seek to control and enslave, that hijack. We free ourselves of all these influences and release them from our field. We just simply let go. We could wage war, but in the process we would become the very thing that we are waging war against. So we simply let go and offer to the universe these other expressions of life and reality that are no longer resonant on this earth. Be gone. It is a responsibility, an individual and collective responsibility. For us to embrace these changes, to treat all others with respect, love, compassion, to recognize the healing latent within ourselves. Thank you all so much, everyone. Welcome back. We will continue to do more of these. There is a lot of healing to do. We have 3I Atlas, this interstellar object flying into our solar system, performing a perfect superior conjunction with the sun during a new moon, which is a reset. So let me show you really quick and then I'm going to sign off. But these energies are all about Virgo, recognizing the shadow aspects, integrating them, and getting ready for the Libra judgment. So here we have where we are now. We see this Mercury superior conjunction. It's getting very close right there. If we go forward to October 21st, we have our new moon. See that? Earth, moon, sun, 3I Atlas will be exactly on the other side, right about here. So perfect superior conjunction. So it's going to be on the 21st of October. If you look at the sun, you will see the moon and this interstellar object. It is a reset, a complete new beginning. If you look, you'll see that this is happening in the constellation of Virgo. This is an interstellar object. We have to look at this from an interstellar perspective. So we're not using signs, but constellations. It's happening in the constellation of Virgo, which is all about healing, radical responsibility, really recognizing the innocence within you, but then also that shadow aspect, bringing them into whatever balance you can, fully realizing the truth of who you are, and then with that newfound knowledge and empowerment, stepping forward towards that cosmic judgment, which is Libra. And then there is a transformation process which unfolds with Scorpius and also Afincus. I think that's how you pronounce it. And then there is a bit of a renewal and rebirth that then occurs with Sagittarius, Capricorn, new beginnings a little bit. Though the real new beginning comes in here with this Saturn-Neptune conjunction next year. So thank you all so much for watching, everyone. I've been your host, Stefan Burns. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by going to www.earthevolution.com/store. I have a whole bunch of holistic wellness products there to help you manage all these energies, from earthing shoes to all organic herbal tea blends and herbal coffee. There's also shirts, merch, and more. So please check that out. Help me help you. And I'll be back very soon with another video on what's happening with the Earth, with the sun, planets, cosmos, and more. So if you like the sound of that, then please subscribe. Wishing each and every single one of you well. Please take care of yourselves. I'll see you all in the next video. God bless.